Okay, I'm recording. It's been a while. I got sinus problems. So it's been like an exciting couple of months. It looks like we might impeach Trump, and it's for good cause. And I've been thinking from the day that he got into office that we made a grievous error on our electoral college and the way that our elections are being run are computerized, a little electric booths without a paper trail, and all these other things. And I think the most interesting thing for me is that I remember once having a discussion about how the peace movement went into rock and roll, and how at that time we lost Motown, and instead we got the Beatles and their White Album. I always thought that their White Album was a code. And then if you continue to look at what happened to the music industry, if it wasn't for hip hop, American music industry would be destroyed. So my point is I think since '68 there has been an attack on the American people, but they're attacking the black and the children. And the children, it doesn't matter black or white or whatever. And the reason why I say the children, because when I was in Kansas and here in New Orleans also. Uh, Yeah. I was like, is there another place? I noticed that not only how the drugs come in, I'm not going to say the U.S. Marshals or, maybe, we all remember Oliver North and the controversy that was behind there, that with the American bringing cocaine. Anyway, but I noticed that it's a lot easier to attack the children. It's a lot easier to attack black people. Children are cruel to themselves. They bully, humiliate. And I notice that the more the child is a bully, and the more violent he is, it's all springs from the home. So I think that um, that with the Jim Crow and the red lighting where black people could live, restricting where we could live, and the way the school system is being drained out of its funds, the food that we feed the children, all this, I think has been allowed to having children don't have any rights. They don't vote. In the black community, we've been oppressed and enslaved, and really done a great injustice. And even women, in a sense, has been done a great adjustment. And once they brought in sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the peace movement went away. The black is beautiful, afros and all that went away. Women are now straightening their hair and using hair extensions. Not me. And too lazy. And I like to wash my hair like about every 3 days. But anyway, so we have a stigma, and like I remember, and that has led us to where we are now, to where a foreign entity as in Russia, in Putin, could manipulate and control our president. That we have a president that probably for a long time was being taken advantage, was being blackmailed and embezzled by what he calls so-called friends, and he has no clue. Trump has no clue who his friends are. American people have been more than willing to be his friend. When the CIA and the FBI told him, that it looks like Putin interfered with the election, if he would have said, you know what, let's make this not happen to anybody else, regardless how it affects me, what I'm saying, he would have made a friend. What I'm saying? If he would have just, not been honest the way he is honest now, but been more geared to doing the job that he was elected to honor the Constitution that he had just pledged a vow to protect us from overseas and even domestic harm. So if he would have tried to uphold any, and a lot of men, they don't understand contracts. A lot of them, they don't even, like a marriage is a contract. Most of them, they don't honor it. So he's been divorced 3 times. So he doesn't respect the contracts. And plus, he has a history of not paying his debts. And yeah, poor people, he probably laughs at them. We pay our debts because we have consequences if we don't pay our debts, like being homeless or going without food or, jail time. So we don't have the same privilege that he has to where he could skirt the law. And I don't think that we've seen the end of his type of corruption. Like I'm saying, a lot of this started in 1968. And this is just from me reading numerous different stuff and the internet and stuff, and my observation. Also, mostly my observation and my experience, But and like I was saying, in these places where I see where they utilize children and sex trafficking, and they always protect the adult. And like now at my age, I'm old enough to where I could see where the ones that were, had the most money was big, smart, and they're gone. They died. Some was helped to die. And like I would use an example like MJ when it was like this was like 1969 actually, and we were on a boat with my parents and my brother. Um, might have been might have been 67. But anyway, we'll say 66. Anyway, right around there, and they removed his scrotums, so because they were afraid when his voice matured that he wouldn't make any money. And I ended up because we ended up getting like detained by the Coast Guard or something like that, but we weren't trafficking anything or doing anything. And and it was those type of people. And yeah. And it's just other things, and it was just the fact that the majority of them are dead, so really messes up my friend pool. And are sick. A lot of them are sick, but it's spun from the decisions that was made for them as a child. When I was in she was a really pretty blonde-haired girl, and a junkie, in and out of jail now as an adult, into prostitution. But as a child, from like the age of 5 or something, she was being sexually abused, raped, and molested. And, and like somewhere in this, it became like, oh well, she's streetwise or what like that. Like she knew the only thing she knew was more about sex than anybody else. By the time everybody else got 15 or 16, and up in the ages, she wasn't that smart anymore. Because how much do you need to know? So and plus, I think even like the police at one time used her to trap somebody. I think they let him do the act before they came in. So you have police that don't really understand. They think, oh, these kids are smart, these kids are wise. Yeah, but if they start this like like 5 and under, this person, like if they're 5 years old, they only been in the world 5 years, and maybe this adult policeman, let's say he's 30, he's been in the world 30 years. If he can't understand that there's no such thing as child prostitution, it's only child rape, and what I'm saying, because like this child is too young to get a driver's license. Nobody's going to hire you unless it's in the acting industry or some type of entertaining industry. So it's very limited. You're not going to get a job in McDonald's or working a cashier or Walmart's or something like this. And so and a child can't sign a lease, they can't sign any legal documents. So there's no way that this child could function or act or anything like adults. And most of the time, the ones that was, into their life, they don't, they seem like they lose, they all, once they get them 30, 33, they go back to school and do quite well. But in some cases never. Like I said, a lot of they're junkies, dead, or in prison. So or disease. So I think a lot of it is immediately our problem is stem from a type of racist type of mentality that we had, where we have to step down, we have to put our foot on the black people, and and I think it came to a head, and this is where we're at, and we have choices to make. So I hope one of our choices that we make is that we will still go out and vote. Might as well still play the game, because it's a reality for a lot of people to have to go through this. And plus, if the way the Republicans are thinking, that they're just totally gonna I don't know what they're thinking, but it's totally destroying our whole Constitution. And one of the things is easiest. One of the tools they use to also destroy the Constitution is the police department. They disrespect. Like they're on Facebook, so they disrespect privacy. Yeah, I mean, they're not following the Constitution. And I remember one time this policeman was like, "I'm a policeman. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have to know law." And because like, anyway, I was like, okay, well, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do that. Anyway, I ended up getting off. And then very rarely, but it was like, I'm not a lawyer either. I didn't know I did something wrong. How did I know? I'm just a dumb little black girl. I don't know nothing. But anyway, we'll see. 14 minutes. That's a long time. But let's see. 14:10. Do. Anyway, we'll see. I'm actually sort of happy that they're impeaching Trump, because I had lost a lot of faith and a lot of respect in our government. They have a long way to go. It's just very sad. I wish we could really make a change for the better, make prison reform our school systems, not privatize our jails, not privatize our schools, but, just go in there with good old American elbow grease and do the hard work that needs to be done. Make the laws, pass it, impeach this man, and get somebody in there. I don't care if it's Barry Sanders or Elizabeth Warren or Harrison or Booker. I don't care. As long as we not that crazy about Joe Biden. You know, I think, you know, he probably did his job as vice president, but I don't think he had Obama's back as well as he should have. I think he walked the fence. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm just saying, you know, I don't think he's presidential material. We got to get somebody in there that's presidential material, period. Someone that understands the constitutions, someone that's worked in the government, maybe. Barry Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Harrison, Booker, they've worked in government, you know. So, bye.